how's it going? If you're good, that's good. If you're not good, then I hope things get better. Now, fursuits are amazing, incredible, perfect works of art, but they are not indestructible, no matter how good your maker is. So, you need to be prepared to perform just some minor maintenance on them for when things go wrong. The most common thing you're gonna have to deal with is popped seams. Now, these can happen just after heavy use, maybe you bent the wrong way. For me, it usually happens after washes, but it can also happen for absolutely no reason at all. So I'm gonna teach you how to sew it back up. So you're gonna need to buy some sewing needles and some high strength thread. You know, the really strong stuff that they use to sew couches together. Because, you know, you're a walking couch. Normal cotton is not going to be strong enough. It's also a good idea to get them in a color that isn't going to stand out among your fur's color. Cut off twice as much thread as you think you'll need and thread it through the needle. Tie the two ends together. This is now the end of your thread. Double strength. Turn your suit part inside out and pinch the hole together so the fluff is on the inside and the backing is on the outside. Thread the needle through. From here, we're going to be doing what's called a blanket stitch. I find it's the easiest one to do that is still nice and strong. To blanket stitch, you thread the needle through the same side you just did, but loop the needle under the stitch before you pull it through. Repeat this until you've stitched up the hole, making sure there's no fur poking out of it. To finish your stitch, just loop the needle under the last stitch again and tie it. All fixed! Next is matting in the fur. Now, over time, your fur is probably going to get a bit matted just from use, especially in your armpits and your crotch. There's no permanent fix for your armpits and your crotch because it's just going to get matted again every time you go suiting, but here's the fix anyway. Grab a hairdryer and your brush. Put the hairdryer on its absolute lowest heat setting. If your hairdryer doesn't have any heat settings, then this hairdryer isn't going to work. Heat melts the fibers in fur and completely ruins it, but today we're going to use this to our advantage. So go over your affected area with the hairdryer, taking very great care not to heat it to the point where it would be uncomfortable to press your hand onto the fur. While still going over it with the hairdryer, slowly brush it into the correct shape. If you're not feeling confident enough to use a hairdryer, or you just don't have a hairdryer that would be suitable, you can also do this under lukewarm water. Do this until you see that your fur is nice and straight. Leave it to cool and you're all done. Lots of suits have paw pads and claws and other additions that are actually glued on rather than sewn on, and unfortunately these pieces can sometimes fall off. Hopefully if something falls off, you've still got it or someone's picked it up for you, otherwise you're going to have to ask your maker for another part. You can also contact other makers that are closer to you to see if they can make the part for you, but there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to make it exactly the same. But anyway, once you've got your part, all you need to do is glue it back on with some E600 craft glue or any other high strength craft glue. You don't want to use super glue as it doesn't quite stick to material that great, and hot glue works as a temporary fix, but you don't want to use hot glue as long term. And then we have sleeve lengths. Sometimes with bodysuits, your arms or your legs can end up being just a little bit too short. So when you do particular gestures, your human ends up showing. This is where I'm going to introduce to you pop studs. Pop studs are small, usually metallic buttons that you'll find on clothes and things that snap things together. And my sleeves, for whatever reason, shrunk over time. I don't know why. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem. They just shrunk. So I took my bodysuit to my good friend at Skunky Designs, and she extended the sleeves for me and added some pop studs on them. You can pick up pop studs at pretty much any craft store. Make sure you get nice big ones and not the little ones. The little ones aren't going to be strong enough. If your sleeves are still too short and the pop studs still won't hold them, you're going to need to get them extended like I did. Either ask your maker if you can send them your bodysuit back for them to fix it for you. You can find a local maker and ask if they can match up the fur and fix it for you. Or if you already know how to sew, you can just order the fur and fix it yourself. The most troublesome part of this is getting matching fur. Even white is very difficult to match. The white on my sleeves isn't quite the right white fur. This is why in a lot of my photos my wrists are a little bit more yellow. It's a bit of an off-white kind of color, but it's still better than having my Under Armour showing. So that is pretty much all the minor repairs that you will probably have to do yourself. For anything more serious, especially damage to your head, you're probably going to have to send it back to your maker for the fixes. Something I highly recommend you take with you everywhere you take your fursuit is an emergency repair kit. Even if you don't think you'll need it, chances are someone else might. You could be their saving grace that day. It's a really good thing to have for you and for everyone. So I recommend you put in it multiple sewing needles, a small little pair of scissors, your high strength thread, a bunch of safety pins, some sticky tape, and if you've got the space, just a little standard hot glue gun. If you're wondering about the safety pins and the tape, those are really good things just to have for some super emergency temporary fixes just to get you through till the end of the event. So if you're at an event and something goes wrong with your suit, don't panic. It is fixable. For example, at CBR for last year, I think it was, we were on top of this tower thing and we're like doing photos and yada yada yada. And I went and had like a nice big stretch, and I stretched just the wrong way that the zip on the back of my bodysuit broke. Like it completely popped open. Not repairable. Whole thing had to be replaced. But I still needed my bodysuit. Like the event had only just begun. There was still a few more days of cool suiting stuff that I needed to do. So what I did was I went to my suitcase and I had a good rummage in there and I tried to find the biggest t-shirt that I had packed. And then every time I needed to use my bodysuit, I would wear that shirt on top of the bodysuit. That way it kept it all nice and together because it couldn't zip up anymore and my human wasn't showing and it ended up looking really cute. So I still got to enjoy full suiting for the rest of the meet. But what happens if you're in the middle of public suiting and you can't just go back to your suitcase? What do you do if something goes wrong with your suit then? Well, here's Volt Ashcore with his story on what he did when that exact thing happened to him.
My name's Volt Ashcore, if you don't know, or if you know the suit. My name is Zigzilla. Basically, last year at Furdo, I myself got there on Thursday, and a bunch of other people did as well. So we thought, hey, why don't we go out suiting on Thursday, before the con even starts, get some fun in and get ready for it. As we were going along the beach, we saw a couple of people, a family or two hanging around. I went up to the girl, acted shy, and as she booped me on the nose, I jumped back. And I thought, oh, it'll be cute and all. But as soon as that happened, I felt a weight drop from my belt. When I jumped, the weight that fell was in fact my tail. So my tail had decided to fall off. I acted like it was all part of the act. I started flailing around, jumping around, going, oh, my tail, my tail. And after all of that, picked up the tail, we took it back to the hotel. And I found Skunky Designs, who's a brilliant maker from here in Australia. She's based in Melbourne. She does fursuit sprays, she does fursuit repairs, she does actual making fursuits, fursuit parts, things like that. And I got her to replace the strap that loops it to my belt. So that's a little bit of advice I could offer for that. If something on your suit happens and it's easy to fix at a convention, go to the wherever all the artists, things like that, go to that area. Go find someone who is a fursuit maker or repairer and say, hey, I need this done. If it's a belt loop elastic that you need replaced, that's easy enough. If it's maybe a claw or something if it's something that can be repaired in only a few minutes, go for it. But if it's something that can't be fixed in a matter of minutes or hours, don't bother. That's when you go to your fursuit maker and say, hey, I need to send this back to you. Something has gone wrong.
Thank you for that story, Volt. So, as you can see, if you have a minor mishap with your suit, don't panic, it's fine, it can be fixed. And if you can learn how to sew, then you can fix it yourself, or if something happens to someone else's suit, you can even offer and help them out and help fix their suit and become the hero of the day. Thank you for joining me, I hope this helped you out, and I will see you next week where I'm going to talk to you about some artwork etiquette.